here's the thing. I'm going to say that this is the episode 10 because it's a significant double digits, but we're not allowed to talk about what episode we are on anymore.
Milestones only.
Only milestones. Because you know how we always start like, episode 8, episode 9.
Yeah.
So now we're on episode 10. Thank you everybody that's been listening and still with us here after 10 episodes. I feel
Good metrics that we've been getting lately. 150 downloads?
More. 170 plus downloads in the last 30 days.
That's epic.
Those metrics be booming.
Yeah. So we did some research for us to be in the top 10% of all podcasts, we have to 40x our current audience. I think the numbers were the top 50% have 300 downloads a month.
Okay.
So we're like halfway into the top 50.
We're getting there.
We're almost in the top 50%, but it's going to be really hard to get into the top 10.
But we're not talking about it anymore. We ain't talking about what episode we're on.
No,
right?
now we're going to be in a blur now. Now the episodes are going to start to blur. We've done our first 10. The next milestone's what, like 50?
100.
25?
100.
Damn, bro. That's a long time to like not selly. Like you want to do 90 more episodes without acknowledging what we've done?
Maybe 50.
25, 50, and
125. Or maybe 20. It's
No.
like 10, 20, 40,
Every 10.
80.
I think they have to be completely different increments every time. I think 10, 25, which is quarter to 100, 50, and then don't go to 75, go from 50 to 100.
Okay. Well, sure. I'll do that.
Just to make it exponentially harder, you know?
Yeah. Deal. Well,
All right.
Why don't we just kick it off, Lee?
Why not? All right. Welcome to the Fast Forward Podcast. I'm your co-host, Lee.
And I'm your co-host, Lewis, and welcome to the fastest growing Canadian tech podcast in the universe.
This week, we're going to be talking about Zuck Bucks, space, and Uber. We're also going to discuss 3D printed guns and hallucinogens.
And today's Rewinder, I put Rewinder there. Today's Rewind, we will be talking about National Bike Day, and it's not exactly what you think it is. We also have snips again, because lots have happened in the news in the last couple of days. So,
And actually, speaking of snips, I did toss in an extra story. It's not in the notes. So when we get to that, I got a little something for you guys too.
Oh, I love a surprise.
A little interesting, a little extra.
All right. So, Zuck Bucks.
Is that where we got to start with the Zuck Bucks?
Yes, Zuck Bucks.
What do we call that in Canada? The Zunies?
The Zunies. Yeah, sure. So it's actually funny. So when I say the word Zuck Buck, what do you think of?
I think of a crypto coin with Zuckerberg's face on it.
So it's actually nothing to do with crypto coin. It's actually funny. So here, let me, I'll explain. So Meta is in the works of developing a new digital token that works like creator coins. Employees at Meta has dubbed them as Zuck Bucks. I can't believe Mark Zuckerberg is doing this. The products include social tokens and reputation tokens, which are awarded to users depending on achievements, their public persona, profession, and so on. So it's almost like achievements almost being put on your profile. However, it's unclear what these tokens will be redeemed for, or if it's just kind of like a flex point. So it won't be a cryptocurrency, but Meta has experimented in the past. It's called Diem, which was open sourced and then closed in January of 2022 as a stable coin that they were going to use as a payment processor for a lot of their, they didn't end up doing it.
Originally like Project Libra.
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to open up the conversation today about the concept of having your whole value, I guess you could say, as a digital token online. A funny comparison has been on Black Mirror. You know, that episode where you have to get your social points up. Have you seen that episode? It's like the woman, and she's kind of going through like the Nuketown, like 1950s style.
I haven't seen that episode, but I've heard so much about it because every time they talk about China and China's social credit system, they constantly make the parallel to the Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, it's and for anyone that's listening and that hasn't seen it, essentially this one woman is obsessed with her online persona, and you get more points the more people like your post, etc., and that evaluates to your in real life income. So the more likes you get on your Facebook, well, whatever social network it is, the more you get. And kind of the more like the nicer house you have, the nicer your family is, etc. And obviously the messaging is not so subtle, but it talks about how we're almost faking everything just for our online personas. So coming back to the Zuck Bucks, how do you think social tokens and reputation tokens would, like, what do you think they could be redeemed for in the future?
I did hear that they're going to be doing like these reputation tokens can be given to like, moderators for groups and stuff like Facebook groups and pages. So that part makes sense to me. I don't really get the reputation social tokens as much as I get the creator coins. I think that would be interesting. I wonder if they're going to give like every Facebook user like X amount of coins that you can reward, different creators for. That way people are the creators that are winning aren't the ones that necessarily get the most views, but maybe more the ones that people care about the most. I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's hard to like understand like the Facebook the way that it is today is more of a, I don't know. To me, it's like the news feed. Like, it's literally like a place to see like news for Facebook and what people are saying. So like, I don't know if the community exists there. I guess outside of Facebook groups.
I think they're trying to incentivize people to come back onto the platform because so many people are going over to TikTok right now that they're rapidly trying to find ideas. I think with Zuck talking about NFTs, talking about cryptocurrency, and now essentially these social credits, it almost makes sense as to incentivize people to start posting on that platform for some sort of like monetization reward or reward on the platform that will get you like more promotion. Not entirely sure exactly, but I think that might be the big reason.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the token, and it could be just because like my whole crypto mind isn't like, I'm not super deep in that world. Maybe Storm, you might have some insight on this, but I don't know if I can really like conceptualize what Facebook's going to be trying to do. But I do think another interesting conversation to have is actually why they're doing this, because this is like completely different than what social media platforms are doing, and also what Facebook's been doing for the last over a decade. Facebook's like now a failing social media business, right? For the first time ever, it recorded a loss in users. It's got $118 billion per year ad revenue business. And I think what we're seeing right now happen and unfold, I think there's a global, like a societal perception and opinion about social media that's becoming really, really negative. Like, people really just don't like social media generally. And then further, people don't like to be advertised to, especially the way that social media has done it. And I think what's happened is we've sold our attention a bit short in the past. And traditionally, they've been successful in monetizing us for selling our attention for so cheap. But I don't think it's going to be a viable business in the future, which is why I think they're trying to take this like one, how many users does Facebook have? Like 2 billion or something?
Yeah, something like that.
I think more than 2 billion users. So they've got like this massive audience. And right now it's an ad business. They sell our attention to businesses, and then businesses pay a great margin. And that's the $118 billion a year I was talking about. But I think what they're seeing is that this business is losing like actual users. And then the value of advertising is also going down. Like, they lost the tracking because of iOS. Like, we've been talking about this for the past several weeks. But what they're realizing is, we've got 2 billion people on our platform. So is our business an ad business, or can we somehow create a goods and services business and then monetize a goods and services business? And I think that these tokens and these, the reputation tokens, the creator coins, are trying to create an economy on Facebook, because they have the biggest, like they have a bigger population than anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Facebook users, right? And I also saw that in line with the stuff that you just mentioned, that they also are talking about rolling out lending services, like lending money to businesses.
Oh, okay.
Right. So this is like financial services. And when you've got 2 billion users and tons of them are business owners that have been using Facebook to run ads, how many of them would be able to take advantage of lending services? Probably a lot of them.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of moving into the finance space. And that's really stepping away from social media and rather being a platform, which I think aligns with what they're doing with the VR metaverse stuff. Because they want to be a world, right?
It also might be used too to kind of because something that Facebook is so bad for, and is almost the poster child for how bad this is fake news. So you can almost use these tokens as well to kind of because as we change to new forms of media like Joe Rogan rather than like CNN and all that, well, now we can have these creator coins or tokens, whatever you want to call them, that are, the more you have, the more verifiable you are. Or as users, if you're constantly sharing misinformation, not doing your research, then that could be also attributed to that as well.
2.9 billion monthly active users.
So
It's
almost
almost
3
3.
billion. That's fucking stupid.
That is dumb.
So the fact
It doesn't even make sense. Like, it's funny because like you're saying that they didn't get more users, but like at the same time, like how many more users can you even get?
well, they lost 500,000.
Oh,
500,000. They lost 500,000 users. So that was the first time in their history because they've been on the up and up and up. And it's just crazy. It's like 3 billion almost monthly active users. And their business is like completely being, I think this is a prediction. I think probably in 10 years, advertising will be less like the minority of their business.
Yeah.
I think so. Because here's the way I look at it. They've got this massive audience. It's huge. And they've got advertising, right? So advertising as a global service can only make up a portion of the total goods and services that are sold, right? Most businesses have like an advertising budget between 10 and 30% of the total service that they're selling that they can use to advertise to get customers. That's not going to change. I don't think that's going to become 50%. Like advertising can become a bigger piece of the pie. If anything, it'll get smaller the better advertising gets. If advertising gets really good, you don't need to spend so much money to find your customers, right? So that means efficiency will actually drive the cost of advertising down per dollar in the global market. And then on top of that, people fucking hate it. Like people don't want to be advertised to.
No one wants to be advertised to.
So
where do you think they're going to make money?
I think it's just it's like they're going to become this platform. Like I think they're trying to like think of it like, I know it sounds funny, but like a metaverse, right? In the truest sense, because like right now with like Marketplace, right? Or, these Facebook groups, like there are communities of business that's happening that's transactional, that's advertising, that's community groups. And it's all happening and Facebook's like letting it happen for free. Like Facebook doesn't take a cut of buying and selling shit on Marketplace, right? Yeah. But what if Marketplace was now backed by tokens? Right? So
like they're the ones holding the currency essentially.
Yeah. And confirm, oh, yep, you did the person receive the item? Great, confirmed. Okay, here. Oh no, there's a dispute. You know what I mean? And then also they with creators, like what if people are creating worlds on like the metaverse platform and then, we're going to concerts that are in like metaverse venues and we're going to
just take
meetings
like a chunk of every single transaction that happens on the metaverse. Yeah.
Like I think the business for them is going to be creating a metaverse that what makes the metaverse really, really work? I think it's the technology behind it, right? That's the software that's backing it all up, as well as the hardware which they're developing. It's the communities. Like you can't build a platform where no one's building. You want to be where people are building. They've already got 3 billion users, right? So everyone's gonna be building on their platform.
Kind of like almost like a Shopify of the metaverse in the future.
Literally, but way more embedded because Shopify ultimately you can disrupt it. Like as someone that uses Shopify, I can just go find another e-commerce platform and my customers won't know.
Yeah.
The difference is with metaverse, if you get off of the metaverse platform, your customers will know. Your customers might not even be able to show up anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's where you exist digitally.
Yeah.
Right. So it's both sides of the platform. It's the customer and the creator, the customer and the business.
That's insane.
So I can see them getting a bunch of money from that.
Hopefully NVIDIA Omniverse makes it so that it can like cross compile, like build to multiple metaverses, etc.
That's kind of the idea of NFTs in general. It's supposed to be so that you can take your tokens with you everywhere, right? Not confined to one platform. So I did look up Zuck Bucks going to be blockchain based, and I don't know how credible these sources are, but everything's saying it's not likely that they're going to be connected to the blockchain, which is interesting. But then you might be able to transfer them in for NFTs, which will obviously be blockchain based. But, so you might have some fake Zuck Bucks showing up because it's not blockchain based. But
oh, that's interesting. Well, I think it's because it's on a centralized platform, they'll be fine. Yeah. So I read the same thing, Storm. So I think that's legit. I read that they are not doing the blockchain because regulators are giving them so much shit. Like the American government is like, anything blockchain is so scary. And Facebook's already under so much scrutiny. So the second Facebook tries to do a blockchain project, there's like tons and tons of red tape. So they're going to do it outside of the blockchain just for like the guy that...
Also think too is like Facebook is arguably the one that's most known for being the centralized source. Like blockchain is like partially can be attributed to Facebook just existing in the first place.
Trying to decentralize.
So like, why would Facebook even want to do that if they don't have to? Especially when they're building the hardware, the tech, like they're going so hard on this metaverse right now.
They like Zuck has been talking about the NFTs being able to mint them on Instagram and shit too, right? I also read for Facebook, they want to use NFTs that are minted on the platform to validate users on Facebook groups. So now,
Okay.
so now you'll be able to sell an NFT. A lot of closed Facebook groups, right, that exist because like I run a coaching and consulting business, and I want to sell access to my Facebook group and then not have somebody like share their Facebook account and whatever weird things that go with managing that. But now you could use an NFT system to like run the Facebook group. What I thought was more interesting is we talked about this last time, like the decentralized autonomous organizations and how they could be run like physically. We talked about the gym example with NFTs. Now you could have a Facebook group where there's no like admins or moderators. Like imagine a Facebook group where it's literally a community that runs it. And it's like the founders, the first 1,000 people have like a bit more clout and a bit more voting rights, but then everybody else has it built into the smart contract. They have membership, and based on the number of comments and how often you open the group and how often you're answering questions, you develop like points that can go into the voting system when it comes to voting certain people out of leadership or changing the rules of the Facebook group. So
it's happening on Discord right now. I don't know if you've seen it on the Discord groups that you're in, but the more that you contribute, the more that you rank up.
Oh yeah, there's like it's a plugin, right?
Yeah, a lot of NFT Discords use it, where the more you contribute to the community, the more higher rank you get. You unlock certain channels and stuff.
Unlock certain channels.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So that's basic. That's similar, right? It's like it's autonomous organizations. It's maybe not on the blockchain, but it's still like autonomously working its magic.
It's funny too because you don't even need a blockchain for this. So I don't think Facebook would ever use a blockchain.
And if it's not blockchain based, though, I'm just worried about its ability to moon. What's the ability of these Zuck Bucks being able to go to the moon in price?
Be able
to like normal coins. Speaking of going to the moon.
Oh,
sometimes nice. I have to sneak in with my own little ones.
Nice.
Zuck Buck to the moon. That was good.
Yeah. So speaking of the moon, speaking of the moonstorm, there's a pretty cool project that's just been released. NASA has released its first ever interactive graphic novel in celebration of National Comic Day. And in the story, they've actually got a young person of color, a female astronaut, who actually, this is basically imagining her exploring the moon. That's it. The story is of a girl named Callie Rodriguez. And it's pretty cool. We had one of our team members at Tomorrow Inc. share the story with us. Basically, NASA's created a comic book in combination with this like interactive app that's got like games, and it's got like a virtual reality experience to it. And I downloaded the app myself to take a look at it. And I also listened to the first bit of the audiobook. It's really well done. You can listen to it for free on SoundCloud. But it says that the additional content that came with it includes video games, challenges to earn badges, who knows, maybe they're NFTs, and ways to virtually participate in NASA missions. So it's not just like you're learning about the story, that's like obviously this fictional story, but it's also coming with games, challenges built into the application, and then like ways that you can continuously engage. So I think, what I'm curious to hear from you guys is like, this is pretty much education. This is like the future of education. NASA is like pioneering it because it's like the story. It's a book. My son's in grade 2 right now, so he's constantly reading these stories. And I always think to myself, I'm watching him read, and I'm like, he's doing the same exact thing that I did, 15 whatever years ago. It's a bit weird. It is a bit weird because how have storytelling and interactivity not really developed for the average student?
Wow, I can't believe NASA did this. Keep going. I just had to get a TikTok moment.
Yeah.
Wow, I can't believe NASA did this.
So funny.
I also have to shout out Sarah for bringing us. I know you said team member. You said team member.
I said team member. Yeah. So
I'll name drop so that when she's listening.
Sarah,
hey Sarah, if you're at the 20-minute mark, say what's up.
No, this is actually really incredible. I think it's so cool. I mean, I'm a huge fan of augmented reality, XR especially, because I think blending the two worlds together just makes it just so immersive. Right? Yeah. I find that whenever it's just VR, it's obviously still very immersive. Like when we went to that escape room and did the shout out District Beta, we did the escape room and that was very immersive.
Yeah,
but I still knew I was in VR. Augmented reality right now in the state that it's kind of in is still a little... It needs a bit of work before I'm truly immersed. But when you combine the two together, it's almost like peanut butter and jelly. And I did use the app as well. And I think it's really incredible.
Yeah. The the level of which it's so much more interactive than just reading the comic book on its own. I really think that the school system needs to find a way to like start integrating this, because how cool would it be if you're in your textbook and you're reading about biology and then it's like on some magic school bus shit and you pull out your phone, or I guess students maybe don't have phones, but you pull out your like VR headsets and everyone puts them on and the teacher is like, all right, guys, now we're going to explore the inside of your stomach. And that's all happening in VR. But then also imagine there was also like gamification. So, okay, yes, my son is now wearing a VR headset in school and he's like inside the stomach, but how do we know he's paying attention? Well, what if we have like badges and collectibles? Like, you know how in video games, like those Lego games, you can beat the game, but then you can also like destroy everything and then like get these little hidden secret side missions. Imagine that, but like in school, where like if you pay really good attention and you're like actually following along, like there's little like gamification pieces to it, to the education. You can like collect different bacteria in the gut or whatever.
How big is this kind of industry? Like, I haven't done research. You have kids, so maybe you have looked into it before, but I'm just thinking, because every kid has an iPad at home, but they're actually given iPads at school now.
Oh yeah.
So there's clearly an area where you can create an application like this and it go to the students. So I mean, this is pretty cool, because politically speaking, it's cool to see some representation from minorities as well as women in space, specifically like women in STEM. But as well, that XR experience just makes it super immersive, so that I want to be able to do it. How much, like, is this a thing that's already going on in school right now?
I don't think it is. And I think the reason is because NASA didn't need to make a penny off of this. This was like a fun project. And I think that's where the technology is right now. It's like if an organization wants to have fun, like a museum or an aquarium or NASA, they'll do a project like this. The school board can't, because even though it's the right thing and it makes sense, it's so much more interactive for kids to learn this way. If you're a business and you're creating it, you're going to put how much risk up front and then potentially have it rejected.
Yeah. Right.
You're going to create curriculum for the Canadian school boards or whatever. And then what if they just say like, hey, we're not interested? Or, you know what I mean? Like, how does that, because it's not an open market. Mm-hmm. You can't, if they were all private schools, totally different story.
It's almost like you have to like reverse the way of doing it. Like, I know with Minecraft, like Minecraft's in schools now, like a different version of Minecraft is called like Minecraft for Education.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. So, and that's where it teaches you things like coding and other rudimentary.
Wow.
Yeah. But Minecraft was a game before it was the education platform.
Interesting.
So I wonder if it makes sense to, like, you know, you develop a game that's fun and then you reverse engineer it to be like education for kids.
Yeah. Or even just making a game that you wouldn't have to sell to schools. Like, that's like so stale and boring that it's like a school thing only. Like, what if it was educational, but people like me got advertised to and say, hey, like, this is a fun way for your kids to learn through VR. Mm-hmm. And then
like not even through the school system.
Just to sell to the parents.
Yeah.
And then if it works with the parents, then you can like kind of move into the school boards, because you've already got a business now.
You got that pizza game that you gave your kids, right?
Yeah, on the Osmo.
Yeah, so how is that?
So the Osmo is it basically takes a little camera attachment to your iPad, and then the table in front of the iPad becomes like an interactive surface. So he's got the pizza game. He's also got a coding game and a bunch of other games as well.
All on that Osmo?
All on the Osmo. They're all, like, the Osmo is like a platform, and you just you download games on the App Store. You pay for the physical pieces from like Best Buy or whatever. And it's cool, but not as cool as like VR. You know what I mean? All it is like it's adding like you know how touchscreens are kind of like purely digital?
Yeah.
This is like reintroducing like tangible, like handheld pieces to the gamification. So I think what we're talking about with VR is we're actually doubling down on the digital side. And I definitely think there's a business here. I just think
that's what I'm saying. We need to talk off cam here.
Yeah.
We need to get going on this gamification.
I think we could probably find some partners even like in certain curriculum areas that we could partner with to create, like, for example, partnering with the local art gallery and doing like a virtual experience for art where they could learn about the history and have like a virtual tour guide. And
we already have the Matterport.
Yeah, exactly.
The virtual tour.
Yeah. So they're already close, but they're not quite immersive the way that we want it to be.
Yeah,
but
we need to sit down. Like, we can't be dropping our ideas here, you know. Like, we've done 3D Egg Game. It should be in the App Store by the time this drops. Make sure you download that Egg Game, get cracking on App Store and Google Play.
Just in time for Easter.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm hoping you can get it done. My son's been asking me every day, is Egg Game going? Because he's telling all the kids at school about Egg Game, and they're all waiting for this game to drop.
Trust me, we're waiting just as hard. Should ask John.
Do they all think he's crazy?
No, they believe him.
Oh, they do believe him.
I specifically asked him, like, do the kids at school believe that your dad's company is working on a video game? And he said, yeah, everyone believes me. They're just waiting for the game to come out.
I said, almost said Shaq and John, but like, oh man, it's been driving us absolutely bonkers. They've been pulling their hair. We're going to be bald by the time this is done.
What educational games did you guys have? I had Math Circus. Did you guys ever play Math Circus?
Math Circus, yeah.
I think that sounds familiar. Let me Google that. The biggest one was Reader Rabbit for me.
Reader Rabbit. I played Reader Rabbit.
Yeah. Come a long way, but if we're not kids anymore, so it's hard to tell like what's
because like I loved Math Circus back in the day, but I also didn't like play much fun game. I did play fun games back in the day, but that was the only thing that you could do on a computer that was fun.
Everything else was locked at the school computers. You got Math Circus.
That's the issue too.
And I'd always just find a way to go on addictinggames.com.
Yeah. Addicting. Like, man, you know what's so funny? It's literally called Addicting Games.
Yeah.
Who let us
what
go
you
on?
see is what you get. You know,
that's the big challenge right now is that games have got so good and entertainment's got so good that it's like hard to get the kids to play educational games. Like games that Emerson's playing that are like educational games that his teacher tells him to play are awesome. Yeah. I'm like, what but he's like, this is lame. I want to go play Minecraft.
Do you know who was the biggest plug back in the day? Coolmathgames.com.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Cool math games. Oh yeah, we just got boring math games. We're going to call it cool because it is cool. But that was just to trick the teachers into not putting it on their proxy, like their block list. So you go on there, guess what? SpongeBob, Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Wait. So hold on. You're telling me a company made a website called Cool Math Games so they could avoid teachers blocking the site?
Basically, there was like, oh yeah, there's cool math games. If you click here, ages 2 to 7, you get to do like this cool 2 + 2 = 4 game, right? But then you click the freaking 13 plus games. You got everything. You got like Kitten Cannon. You got like the whole shebang.
So pretty much like Addicting Games.
Basically Addicting Games.
And not at all educational.
No, like how far can you launch a kitty from a cannon type of education?
That's physics.
But yeah.
Educational.
That's amazing. Was that like an intentional thing? Like they were tricking the teachers?
I don't think they were, but it worked and forever. Like I'm so grateful for it. Yeah, literally. It probably drove them crazy.
Is this it? Cool Math Games?
That's it. It still looks the exact same to this day. Cool Math Games.
Hasn't been updated.
Yeah, probably not. There's so many fun games.
We should buy that website. That should be where we start.
Yeah.
Because it's already got the brand name. We all trust it already. Our age group.
And then we can just build like some VR math games where like you have to do math by like,
throwing something at the wall or
running
something.
A pizzeria or building a skyscrapers in New York or
some fun. Yeah. Honestly, build some cool car games. I don't know.
Maybe something we can dive deeper into in the future is like, there probably is a bunch of VR games now. It'd be cool to try out some VR educational games and just see what's out there. And then maybe if we think it sucks, maybe we do something about it.
Yeah.
Make something.
It is tough. I wish VR was a little bit more accessible. Like I wish it would be cool because iPads are so expensive. Imagine if schools bought like Oculus Quests instead.
Oh, dude.
But I don't think they're going to do that.
That's actually cheaper almost than an iPad.
Well, I think they probably get them like on a school discount.
The iPads?
And they're like the crappy iPads, right? They're not like iPad Pros.
Okay, there's no such thing as a crappy iPad. But
okay, sorry. But what I'm saying is
there's crappy tablets, but they run Android.
But the Oculus Quest 2, they're just too...
You know when your school board really needs to do a fucking fundraiser when you walk into the classrooms and then you see one of these kids and it's like, oh shit, you have Android tablets here? Damn, this school's like on a 2-year burn rate. They're like, we just need tablets. It doesn't have to last more than 3 years. So here's an interesting story, and I got shit to talk about this one.
Okay, let's hear it.
Uber thinks they're the shit. This year in the UK, they will be doing trains, buses, planes, and car rentals through partners. They have, quote, plans to become a one-stop shop for door-to-door travel. Pause. The fuck do you mean, Uber?
So
the one-stop shop for door-to-door travel. I think this is, you know what? Here's my prediction. I think this is the top of Uber. I don't think they're going any higher. I think this is they're going to be doomed.
So can you explain to me why you think that why you think they're on a pedestal here?
Okay, so here, let me break it down.
Does it start with the letter fucking T?
No, that'll come. Here we go. Okay, so Uber hasn't made any money. They always lose money.
They burn money.
Yes, and they continue to record massive losses. And during the pandemic, they saw huge drops. Let me see if I can get the number for you.
It's like you don't even have to get the numbers. It's just like it's huge.
It was hard to look at the charts.
It was already pretty bad. Like to me, I'm like, how does this even exist as a company?
Here's how they exist as a fucking company. Let me read this to you. So Uber recorded close to 500 million net loss in 2021. Okay, so it's a lot of money to lose. But here's the funnier part. Between August 2015 and January 2020, a grand total of $18.9 billion was raised between Series G, private equity, secondary, and unattributed funds. Series G.
Dude, how much?
There's only so many letters in the alphabet, you know? You got to stop fucking fundraising and make some money.
Series A, B. That's what they're going to seriously call their next round.
Yeah. Or they're going to have to start doing numbers.
How much equity does this guy own of his own company?
Oh, I don't know. And I know the CEO. So right now, here's the funny thing. The current CEO of Uber is actually the old CEO of Expedia.
Okay.
So this is where all this shit's coming from.
So it's not the founder?
No. No,
okay.
He's out. He's on the board, I think, but he's not. This is the new guy. So he was the old CEO of Expedia. He's their leadership now. And obviously, as you know, Expedia is kind of trying to make that, trying to become that, door-to-door travel experience, right? But the thing that's I'm not understanding is you can't just make Uber Expedia now that you're gone. You know what I mean? And that's
exactly what it sounds like it's doing. It sounds like it's trying to become Expedia.
And here's the thing. If you use the line of logic that people use Uber when they're out of town and they're traveling. And again, I don't know the numbers. I feel like people probably use Uber just as much or more in their own community than they use it when they're traveling, just because of the nature of how often people travel. But I do know when I use Uber the most is when I'm out of town. That's for sure the most common time that I'll use it. But it doesn't really translate because you use Uber once you've arrived. If it was a flights company that started doing ride sharing, I'd be like, cool. I got off the plane, I was just using your app, and now you're going to give me a discount on my first ride, and now I'm using your ride sharing program. But you think people are going to start going to use Uber to buy flights and hotels? I just don't know if people think of it that way. They're not the doorkeeper.
It almost seems like they've lost all touch, and they're now just trying to find ways to get Amazon affiliate links, Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. They're not going to do any of this. They're not building any of this. So all they're doing is they're finding partners and basically saying, we have the users and our users trust us for mobility. And they're going to start we're going to start selling our users on your flights, your hotels, your boats, whatever. And to me, that's making this really ridiculous assumption that your users are loyal to the Uber experience. I think really it's just because they have dominance, right? And Lyft is actually on track to continue growing in comparison to Uber and get more market share. I don't know why. I actually haven't done that research, but I looked at the predictions, and also so between 2020 or 2019 and now, they've risen from 48% to 58%. They're on track to hit nearly 60% of what Uber's market share is.
I can't believe Uber would do something like this.
No, I can't either. And here's the thing. So a lot of people would say, it's because they're in the mobility business, right? Moving people around in cars. Now you move them around in trains and you move them around in planes or whatever else. But really, it's not that simple. And I think the Uber Eats thing, that's totally out of left field, right? Why do you guys think Uber Eats worked? What would you think is because people
same infrastructure as what door? Because I feel I mean, I don't know what the order of things were, but I felt like DoorDash saw the opportunity with Uber and they quickly tried to get to market. Well, they did get to market first with that. And then Uber was well, we already built the infrastructure basically. So they just kind of copycatted.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think I agree with that. I think they say they're in the mobility business, but really when you look at the way that the verticals have worked is they went from mobility and then they went to delivery, and the common denominator isn't actually getting people around. The common denominator is drivers.
Yeah.
So really Uber's business is drivers, and they don't really even treat them well. No. So to go from a business where you're predominantly powered by just having a driver ecosystem to now relying on other people's infrastructure for hotels and for trains and planes, I just can't imagine people will start using Uber to do these things. I think this is a massive L. They're not making any money. They've got this Expedia CEO, ex-CEO, who's only knows how to make money that way. So they're going to try. Yeah. And I think this is going to be the first issue is that they're not taking the right direction. They're taking the wrong one, I think. And I don't think this is going to succeed. I think it's going to fail. And the problem with that is, businesses can take L's, but not a business that's continuously recording losses, losing market share to its other biggest competitor, in its primary revenue source, and then is a couple years away from facing its worst fucking adversary ever in Tesla. When Tesla drops fleets of these robo taxis, it's like at this point you've just spent the last few years pursuing a dumbass revenue stream and strategy. Your competitors are catching up to you. And I think this is one of those those make or break moments. And the fact that they're on this trajectory, I think they're going to fail.
This might be the end of Uber.
100%.
Personally, what I think is, I just think that Uber, and not even so much with Tesla, so much. You have a good point with that, but more so specifically, I just think they're losing way too much money. And I don't, at this rate, even if you look at the graphs, if they're losing $500 million a year, like that's huge investor money. And if you think about how much it costs per ride, like how much Uber gets per ride, let's just say on average $5, which I don't even think is that FYI, but let's say it's $5. Well, do all that. Think about all the software engineers they have to pay, all the legislation. Like right now, they're paying huge money in legal fees to like bust unions, to just be legally allowed to have the app in like all states. And that's just in one country. It's nuts. I think Uber is a little over its head. I think that I don't know about Lyft really too much. I haven't used Lyft before. I've used Uber every single time. I love the Uber interface, FYI. I think it looks great. But if Lyft is somewhat similar and even just a little bit cheaper, and they're focusing on just one aspect, I think they'll probably be victorious.
Well, I was just going to say, the thing is, those are the things that you think about when you're going on a trip. Uber is what you think about when you arrive and you need a way to get to your hotel. And that's where I'm concerned. I'm like, will people start using Uber for those things?
Some people use it daily though.
Yeah, in like bigger cities, right?
That's the issue, is that sometimes it's funny because Lee and I live in a smaller city. So what ends up happening is that if I want to, sometimes I've gone over to Lee's house, I've had a bit to drink. So I'm like, all right, I'll just go Uber back home, and I can't find an Uber. To not find an Uber in Toronto would be like, oh, Uber's down, right? There's no drivers. So yeah.
And that could be, listen, if there's a way to see the buses and the trains, the same way on Uber, you can see the cars, and you can lay out your whole travel plan. Great. But the thing is, they don't own the buses or the trains and they're going to have, it's going to be so much more work to actually integrate with that. And they're going to make even less money. So I just feel like
that's what I'm saying.
If they owned it, different story. If they own buses in big cities and there's Uber buses going around, that's fucking awesome.
It's just green electric money. Buses. It's the debt ratio to how much that they're off of affiliate links, basically, right? They're making 15% off of a bus ticket.
They're splitting a small percentage to exactly like you said, affiliate links.
And they got to build out this infrastructure, because Uber doesn't just say your bus is here. They have to do the whole animation. They have to get 6 engineers to do one little thing. It'll be expensive.
Here's what I'll do. I'll put it simply. You've got a company that's competing with just Lyft, pretty much, and they can't make money with just cars. Now they're going to compete with Booking.com, Expedia, we're talking about, Kayak and Hotels.com and Rent-A-Car and all these other platforms. And they're going to do it across not just cars, but trains, planes, boats, etc. And they're not going to own any of it. They're going to spread themselves super thin, make even less money against more competitors. So I just think that's a recipe for disaster.
You know what I say when I see an Uber pull up and I'm with a group of friends? I say shotgun.
I was just going to say, you know what? Speaking of recipe for disaster, building your own guns. Yeah.
You guys are blowing my mind with this shit.
So
metaphorically.
Yeah. So President Biden announces regulations against ghost guns in an effort to curb gun violence. So ghost guns are DIY guns that you buy online via kits that you assemble at home, like IKEA furniture. This presents a legal loophole that is because they are sold unfinished. and they're not, and because of that, they're not considered firearms. So they don't even require a serial number either to be able to track. So it's a tiny fraction of the market right now. Like, this is not really a big threat, but criminal investigations are showing that they're on the rise. So, question. I just thought a little question up for a debate. How will governments crack down on the ability to produce your own weapons / illegal items online? Because you can still buy a 3D printer. They're just selling you the blueprints.
Yeah. So what's just so I have some clarity, because it's an unfinished gun, it means it's not a complete firearm. Does that mean that there's still a part that I need to go buy somewhere? Or does it mean that like I'm printing like 5 different pieces and then putting them together and I have a complete firearm?
Like that, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say they'd have to regulate even the incomplete parts.
It's
I would say
like saying like I can order, if I order a hand grenade online, that's illegal. But buying a book saying how to make your own pipe bomb is technically not illegal, you know?
Or just like if you could buy all the individual parts separately and assemble it yourself, right?
Yeah, like I can go to Home Depot, buy a pipe, I can buy, like, you know what I mean? Like it's a bit of a weird thing here. So how will governments crack down? So are we going to be censoring things on the internet? Are they going to be pressuring maybe some of these websites to be stopping them? I'm not sure.
I think so. Here's what I would do. So I would say the first thing is like, yes, you could go build your own bombs or whatever, using like household, hardware store stuff. But those things are being used for other things, which is why we don't ban, all those products that exist in the stores today.
Yeah.
But with these gun components, they really only serve a purpose of building a gun, right? So I would say probably maybe the 3D printer, like companies, like the 3D printer itself has to have like onboard software or something that prevents it from printing something that it can identify as a gun component.
I don't know how it would be able to do that though.
Well, like apparently TVs are getting to the point now where they can actually identify pirated content through HDMI.
Are you serious?
Yeah. TVs are going to have that. This is a technology. Fact check me if you can, Storm, but I'm pretty sure that TVs are getting this technology that allows them to identify pirated content through HDMI.
That's a lot different though, considering like, cause it's easier to get like a digital footprint of what, I don't know, Pam and Tommy, we're just talking about that, looks like, right? Pirated, but a gun, it's a lot harder.
Well, I don't know. I feel like if they have the information into the 3D printer and there's like just a phase before it starts printing where it analyzes it, and there's like onboard software that's analyzing the like what's being printed, and they can analyze for the gun components. I feel like there's something like, oh, sorry, can't. This is been identified as an illegal print. You can't print it. We won't print it or something.
Well, take
like
into consideration too is that like some people want to, like the NES zapper, or like
true. They want to make guns.
They want to make like a toy gun.
I think toy guns though are different than gun components. I think like the inside of a toy gun is just hollow, right?
Well, the inside of a gun too is also like, it's just built out of rudimentary parts.
That's true too. I just don't know if there's any other way other than at the very last line of defense to stop it. Because if you stop it like from the internet, like I could still go around with the USB and be like, here's the.
For
you
sure.
know what I mean?
Just like you can sell a bag of weed through the mail. It's almost like, I think it's more so like you got to go on the internet. You got to find where these people are distributing it. So yeah, it is interesting. 3D printed guns. It's funny what we can do with 3D printing nowadays.
Is there anything else that you could think of that's like dangerous that like, because like what we're talking about right now is that 3D printers have given people power that the government's like, oh fuck, like we don't have a system to prevent this. What else could we 3D print that like the government would be pissed about?
Money.
3D print money.
Probably like, I'm sure you can get like a knife sharp enough.
Yeah, but I can buy a knife. Having to get it regulated. I'm saying like, is there anything?
Yeah.
I'm saying, is there anything I can like that the government doesn't want us to have?
In the States, Kinder toys or Kinder eggs.
Oh, there you go.
So now they'll be able to get the toys now because
I love that that ad where it's like a kid holding up a Kinder egg and the other holding up an M150 or something.
It's like one is illegal and one's not. Yeah.
So the guys let me ring lead one of the topics today.
Of course, we love you, Storm.
Thanks, guys.
So wait, when we don't let him lead the topics, it means we don't love him?
No, I just don't have a camera pointed at me. It's almost silly to have me lead it because I'm not on camera and we can't use it for TikToks, and that's all that matters in this game. But super fandom in Oshu City, Japan. Have you guys heard of Shohei Ohtani?
No, I haven't.
So I have heard of him. Because obviously to me it was pretty interesting to hear that this guy was like dominating in baseball and he's Asian.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from Japan, and he's becoming the face of baseball just because he's a pitcher and a batter and excellent at both of them. But I found it interesting that MLB.com did an article about how big of fans his entire home city is. And the 17th day of each month, which is known as Ohtani Day, where everyone in the town wears his number 17 Angels jersey. So that's pretty cool. And then they have his likeness being made into rice paddy art. Do you guys know what rice paddy art is?
I don't. I'm Googling it now.
So it's an art form originating in Japan where people plant rice of various types and colors to create images in a paddy field.
Oh my God. This is
some
unreal.
cool art. Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, you know what I was thinking in my head? Like dead ass, I was thinking about those pancake arts that people do, where they create pancakes on the fryer. I thought rice patty was like a bunch of rice in a certain way, like in making his face. And
I know. I was like, cool, man. Like people are doing that to Shrek too. You know?
Yeah. But this is actually like significantly more work than what I thought in my head. This is like some pretty sophisticated shit.
I can't believe how serious Japan takes MLB.
The really cool part, and this is the part that will blow your freaking mind, Lewis, is that they used lasers to create a replica of Shohei's hand so that those who visit the city can shake his hand.
This officially made Japan the coolest country of all time.
How did they use lasers to make this happen? Like, why didn't they just use a regular mold? Like, why did they need lasers for this?
Too expensive, probably. They were like,
Just to make it sound cool.
Shohei, we can't get Shohei here. Right? So they just get a quick laser scan. That's all they could afford for 10 seconds.
I'm just saying, like, if he puts his hand in the mold, you know what, though? He'd have to leave his hand in there for it to, like, solidify. And he's, like, pretty valuable.
So you don't want anything touching his hands.
Yeah, there's, like, his hands are, like, very, very valuable. Please do not fuck with his hands.
How accurate do you think a mold is, too?
Not as accurate as laser.
As like a laser.
True. So this is, like, very, like, down to the very, like, tiniest detail, the exact same as his hand. But the only problem is that it's solid and doesn't move.
But I was just thinking, like, what's the future of sport fandom? So you see you see statues outside of sports buildings, but this is kind of a new way to feel more connected with the athlete. And there's a lot of things going on in the digital world with NFTs connecting with athletes, but I think the physical thing's kind of cool. Do you guys have any ideas of like how else we could connect with people this way?
I don't know if I dig it. Like, I think
I don't really mess with it. I would be super uncomfortable.
I think for me, if I'm a fan of some guy, like the idea that his hand is there and I can touch his hand, but he's not there, doesn't intrigue me as much as like maybe, and I know where this is like not physical, like you were saying, Storm, but like maybe seeing him in like augmented reality or something. Like, imagine he was here right now. Imagine he like opened the door and like walked in and we had Apple glasses and we were able to like ask him a couple of questions and he was able to be like, hey, like what made you get into baseball? And he's like, oh, I got into base. And it's all like pre-recorded or something, right?
Yeah.
Through XYZ and in Japan, people don't play a lot of baseball, but I found it through American television, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, all right, bye guys. Like that to me would be cool because I feel like if it was really convincing, that experience would be memorable. Yeah.
I've read a whole book about North Korea. And this is the type of stuff that they get them to do in order to like fall in love with the dictators.
What?
Yeah, they build replica statues that sit and like if you have a Kim Jong-un poster or picture in your wall, they have an inspector come and make sure that it's like level, and if not, you get sent to death. So it's similar to the vibes.
Yeah, it doesn't sit super well with me. I mean, here's the thing: Japanese culture is different, right? So this to them might be really cool, like having their hand.
It is really cool. Like from like the visuals I'm looking at, it is really cool. But I just like imagine if like LeBron James, like you go to LA or wherever, and then you see like the same thing happen. Like people would clown on him so hard here.
Yeah, it's true. If it was like, imagine it was like Shaq's hand. It's just like, there's a huge, Shaq would be cool because then you get a sense of scale.
Yeah.
He's known for having these humongous hands.
They have those I went to a Chicago Basketball Hall of Fame. They had like famous like bulls with their like handprints that you could put your hand in, which is cool. But then we have like the handprints on the walk in California too, right? Like Hollywood.
True.
So that's like people like putting their hands
I guess
in
their
that and
hands
being
are
like,
kind of significant that way.
I feel like this is like kind of their way of like, if you're a youth and you're never going to meet Shohei because he's a big deal kind of thing. This is like your way of like thinking that it's possible, thinking it's within reach, right? Feeling like feeling almost humanizing them a little bit, that you're like, oh, I touched, like there's a connection there.
It is really cool. It's just, I'm just not used to it, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? And
Different cultures, like Leah said, I think.
yeah, for sure. But it is really cool.
They like worship this guy. Like they have a day every month.
Mhm.
Every month.
On the 17th, that's his jersey number, and they all wear his jersey and in his hometown.
That's still absurd.
I think what is just kind of weird is that he's just still alive. Like if here it was like the first prime minister or like George Washington's hand, I'd be like, oh, that's so cool. I get to feel like what his hand would have felt like. But because he's alive, I think that's where the context is.
You know what?
Weird.
That's what's making it weird for me. That's why when you said like you saw like old Bulls players and stuff, it's like they're not actively playing anymore. So like that's kind of like they're either dead or retired. Yes, but he's like still in the game. So it feels like they just love him so much they just couldn't wait. They're like, no, like gotta do this now, right? But
it's very trippy. And speaking of trippy, are we ready for the rewind? On April 6th, 1943, hallucinogenic effects of LSD was first discovered. It's actually a funny story. So Albert Hoffman accidentally consumed LSD. So it's called, accidentally consumed LSD-25, a drug he had created in 1938. So he made this 5 years prior as part of his research into the medicinal value of lysergic acid compounds. After he took it, he was disturbed by unusual sensations and hallucinations. He wrote about his experience. So this is he wrote about the very first time LSD was ever taken. So I'll read it here. It's in Notion if you guys just want to read it as well. So last Friday, April 16th, 1943, I was forced to interrupt my work in the laboratory in the middle of the afternoon and proceed home, being affected by a remarkable restlessness combined with a slight dizziness. At home, I lay down and sank into a not unpleasant intoxicated-like condition characterized by an extreme stimulated imagination. In a dreamlike state with eyes closed, I found the daylight to be unpleasantly glaring. I perceived an uninterrupted stream of fantastic pictures, extraordinary shapes with intense, I don't even know how to say this word, kaleidoscopic play of colors.
It's like kaleidoscopic
yeah.
play of colors. After some 2 hours, this condition fade away. Now imagine reading this letter. Like that sounds like an excuse, right?
Did you read the letter from the second guy that tried it?
No, I haven't read that.
He just said, I'm tripping balls, man.
So this day is known as Bicycle Day because when Albert asked to go home after he started feeling funny, he went home on a bicycle, which means he tripped acid on a bike home. So the very first time someone tripped acid, they were on a bike on their way home. That's crazy. No one could have believed
that's
you
the best.
for that.
That's like the best way to trip acid on the bike on the way home.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, not when you're the first person. Because like when you tell me, oh, you should try acid, you're going to hallucinate. You're going to feel amazing.
True.
But imagine being like, I just accidentally consumed this chemical that I've been working like 6 years on. And then being like, what the hell?
You know what, though?
I felt like I would be poisoned.
Yo, that's actually a movie though. Like you've been working on this chemical for, what was the reason?
It was like for research on some acid compounds or something.
Okay, so something totally unrelated to like having a good time.
Yeah.
And you're working on this chemical compound, you accidentally consume it, and then like on your way home, all these hallucinations are happening. Like you think you consume something magical. You're like,
I would be scared. I would be extremely scared. I thought like that's the end of me.
For sure. But at the same time, you'd be like, what the fuck? I just like some weird chemical from my office.
Yeah.
And now I'm like seeing fucking, Yetis and shit.
Yeah.
like that.
It's a really incredible. I mean, I think it's really cool how LSD just kind of came about. And then obviously in the 60s, the drug enforcement, the DEA, had just cracked down on it significantly. And I guess that brings us into our fast forward segment, Lee. I know you know a lot about, magic mushrooms as a way of medicinal healing.
I don't know a lot.
Don't?
I don't know a lot. I would say I'd be cautioned a lot. I've done shrooms once in my life. And then I also purchased Mind Med stock, which is because of that I had to do some research. And
that blew your mind how much it grew, probably.
Yeah, oh yeah, Mind Med did really great. It's obviously not doing very good right now. I think a lot of stocks, like those like growth stocks, aren't doing very well right now. But I have some preliminary like knowledge, but I'll let you continue your thought.
I was just going to say, that's basically the history of it. I think what's just kind of a cool way to transition into the fast forward is how our perceptions of LSD and psychedelics have completely changed even in the last 10, 15 years, rather than even when it was illegal and the war on drugs.
I was just reading that, well, speaking of war on drugs, they were using it for war during the Cold War as a way of hypnosis, shock therapy, and for interrogation.
Yeah. Oh, shit, to fuck with people.
Yeah, the CIA experimented with it.
Damn, the CIA is always doing crazy shit.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm at. Like, obviously in Canada, cannabis is it illegal, like legal across Canada? There's no provinces that.
I think it's legal across Canada.
Yeah,
now.
so we got legal in Canada, and just before it was getting legalized. Actually, this is kind of funny. Me and the guys went on a road trip to Colorado to visit some of these like marijuana shops, and we were thinking, Canada's legalizing weed. We were actually looking at potentially opening where we are right now, this office, because we had this event space. So we were thinking this could be a marijuana lounge and retail store. And we were going to put a bid in for the local rights to do that. So we had went on a trip to Colorado. We went to a number of locations to see and talk to the owners about how it was and everything else. And that whole conversation about how they've totally fucked that up is maybe for a different podcast. Because that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about legalization, not how well it was regulated. But anyway, it was cool to see how, Colorado, I think the rest of the states is catching up too. Like there's more and more states are legalizing cannabis. I think that's just like the first door. I think really all of these like hallucinogen drugs, the whole category. So like LSD, psilocybin, I think MDMA, ketamine, they're all going to be legalized. And there's a bunch of companies that are doing like therapeutic, research on the use of these things to help with mental health issues and stuff. And they're not like, meth and fentanyl and like these hard drugs where they're like very, very damaging and addictive. I mean, for sure they can be, but so can all the pharmaceuticals that we're taking already, right?
Yeah, so absolutely. I think it's very interesting how we've kind of changed our opinion on it. Because beforehand, look at the war on drugs. We would throw anyone in jail for just possession of magic. Like, let's take magic mushrooms, for example. I understand the skepticism of LSD a bit more because that is like a manufactured drug, but even like magic mushrooms, like we've seen so many studies where it's helped people with PTSD, people with extreme mental health issues,
anxiety, depression.
Yeah, and it grows out of the ground. And that's something that is a little funny to think that people are not taking into account.
Isn't there like a theory about how mushrooms were like the reason that humans, like some Joe Rogan shit probably.
Yeah.
I've heard you say it before.
Yeah, we're like, we like, as soon as we started eating mushrooms is like kind of when humans like brains started growing. Like, there's like a theory.
Probably.
It's like, I think it's called like something ape theory.
Oh,
shroom ape theory.
Maybe. I mean, if you think about it, right? I mean, just think about how our initial concepts of gods and all this really trippy stuff that we think, like things that are way bigger than us. It definitely did come from some sort of trip, I bet.
The stoned ape theory.
I was just going to say, I Googled it. Stoned ape.
Which sounds like a new NFT project.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. Stoned ape NFT. Yeah. So I guess my personal opinion on it is that I think they should be legal. I don't know why they're not legal and regulated. It'd be better if they were regulated. It'd be more safe.
Decriminalized, right?
Decriminalized. Yes. 100%. That's a first step. Legally settled. I mean, the government may as well tax it, right? Yeah. People are spending money doing it. Yeah, may as well tax it, make some money. I personally thought when we did shrooms, it was good. I didn't feel like I've only done it once in my life. So clearly there was no like, withdrawal or, any type of issue trying to, get hooked on it. Not for me, at least. But I think the deeper conversation here is like what potential it has. So I don't know, Lewis, you described like an ego death when you took shrooms.
Yeah.
I don't even know what ego death really even means. I don't know if maybe I did have that experience too. I just didn't know how to put it into words, but
I think it was just kind of like, the word ego, there's so much kind of behind it. Like you think like, oh, I don't know, when someone tells you can't do it, like someone's like pushing down on your ego. It's more so like you understand that as a human being, you're just worth nothing, right? Like you as an individual, you're very insignificant. And it's easy to say that to yourself and even think about it too. But when you feel it, when you have all of these different, I don't know, it's just the way you feel. It kind of changes your mind. It changes the way of how you think of everything. And it still has to this day, I would say. Like I still say that like one time Kate and I were talking about how insignificant we are as human beings. And it was just funny because we just, that to me is what an ego death is when you understand that you are just like destined to do regular things, I guess.
Yeah. Well, not even just regular things, but just like that, even if you do great things, it's still like pretty insignificant.
Yeah.
Like even if you're LeBron James, like you're just a speck on a planet that's a speck in space. And when you die, people won't remember you.
Yeah.
People remember LeBron James, but most people won't be remembered. And even then, like,
well, people won't sure, short term in terms of human history.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll know about LeBron James 100 years from now, but there's going to be a moment, maybe 300 years from now, where basketball starts to decline. Like theoretically
it'll
speaking,
fade.
and then guess what? No one's ever going to talk about. The only reason we talk about Genghis Khan nowadays is because of the state of China. Now, what happens when communism or something over there happens and completely wipes out the history?
What about all the other kings? Like, what about how many other kings that ruled literally massive nations can we even name?
Yeah,
like none of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely lose your significance. Like Donald Trump and LeBron James, like, well, people won't remember them.
No, they won't, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that is okay.
I don't know. I think my experience, maybe that was part of it, but for me, it was just like new perspective. So for me, it was like I saw the world one way for my whole life, and it was like an evolving perspective. Like the way you look at the world when you're a baby or a kid, like you're looking up, everything is big, and as you grow, you start to scale with it. So obviously, perspective is changing, but it's like a tiny, tiny bit per day. Then you do shrooms, and then in 1 hour, it goes from having breakfast in a trailer in Bonaco Provincial Park, eating steak and eggs, to tripping balls.
Yeah.
And that change and shift in perspective for me just made me see the world a different way. And then I realized just having a different perspective gives me more information. Because like when I'm just looking at it my own way, I'm like limiting so much information because I'm just stuck in my own head, tunnel vision. And I realized there's like so much more information here that I wasn't looking at because I wasn't paying attention. So what I took from that experience was, and back into my regular life, was how can I constantly change my perspective all the time? If I want to really like be a master of my crafts, or if I really want to change the world, I'm going to need to do that by not a singular perspective, by listening to other people's perspectives, and then also trying to constantly change my own.
It's almost like the closest thing I can come to it in terms of mindset is like meditation, but almost like kind of like, I don't know. I don't know about you. For me, like I have to like meditate really hard if I want to get to any sort of like true state where I'm like even close to like not hearing anything, etc., or like as woke, whatever you want to call as that. But it's almost like it forces you to put you in that state of mind while also feeling tingly inside, and then colors start to look really cool,
vibrant, and you laugh. Like I almost laughed till I puked on that. Like I literally, actually no, I did puke.
You did puke, yeah.
Holy fuck, I forgot that. Yeah, I was laughing so hard, to the point where I was like, guys, like it was hurting, and then I just laughed till I puked, and then I was like, and then I stopped laughing, and then I started laughing again and puked again.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I hugged a tree while I was tripping shrooms. I'm not afraid to admit it.
No, that's good, man. I think like to put it all into perspective, I think everyone should at least try it at least once. And after I did it, because I've done it 3 times, but 2 times I've done like a really small dose, like 1 gram. And that was enough to do like, it was basically only enough to get me a bit anxious, and that was it.
Just a bit anxious.
Yeah. And then the time we did it together, that's when it was on a high dose, and like a really high dose. And that's when I would say my life changed forever. And I think that would do it for everybody, especially, I mean, obviously I'm not sure, but if you have PTSD, if you're going through anxiety, and of course, not medical advice, but if you're doing any of those things, I really do think a change in perspective, like you're saying there, Lee, is so needed. And I think medicine's the only way to do that.
And that's but where I was actually going to was that perspective shift is maybe more important than the ego death from a medicinal perspective. I don't think people are, and maybe it's part of why people are depressed. Maybe their ego needs to die. Actually, I could see that being a thing. But just sometimes being like when you have depression, your perspective is reinforcing that all the mechanisms that made you depressed in the first place. So it's constant. It's almost like you're digging deeper into the hole you're in every day.
Yeah.
So like the idea that you can just like exit the hole for a little bit and remind yourself what it's like outside that hole, I think is beneficial for people that are struggling.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that you're moving along. You were saying that you were slowly progressing in life, slowly moving forward, and then shrooms made you fast forward through your progression.
Yeah, sped things up.
Like that's when we put the Leo DiCaprio meme where he just points and goes, "Oh,
yeah."
They said the segment name.
Well, it's funny because, like, I mean, Lee and I have been friends for a while now, but I just remember when we talked, Lee and I have always been very entrepreneurial, especially Lee. Lee's always been an entrepreneur, probably since before I met him. But we always, when we're on streams, we're talking about like we need to be on our own platform, etc. And I think it's funny how things manifest into the way it is, right?
Yeah, it didn't make sense because we were high. But I remember he looked over and he said, "Lee, we got to create like our own place on the internet, for us to have our own stuff." And like he used internet to describe technology, I think, and then our own place meant ownership. But at this point, we were in business.
I was
partners.
talking about starting our own NFT. I didn't know it.
Oh shit! Ownership on the internet. That's crazy. I think what we walked away with that of being like, yeah, we need to do something together that we own. And keeping in mind too, I don't know if Lewis at this point yet, you had just finished school, so you were about to start your freelancing.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'd already been freelancing, so we were doing the definition of self-employment, like where we don't own anything, we just like work for ourselves. And working for yourself is not really scalable. So I think there was some, cool business inspiration that came from that. But more than anything, I think it's just the perspective shift. And it's not even just having like the new perspective that you got that's important. It's realizing how limited your perspective was before.
I honestly haven't done them before, but it sounds like I should get through this.
I think it's also too, it just makes you more sympathetic and makes you more like zen, like as pretentious and annoying as it sounds. Like, how you always see like the hippies, they always have the big dreads and they're like, it's all about love, dude. But you literally do feel like that. You literally start feeling like you're just one with the earth and that you want to spread nothing but joy. And that's what I love about it.
One particularly funny part was when we were tripping shrooms and we went to the bathroom, and there was something weird about this bathroom where the mirrors were tilted towards you at the top. So when you walked up to the mirror, you were looking
your face a little bit.
It was like your reflection looked down on you kind of. Okay. Cause it was like on an angle. And I remember going in there and then my one buddy, and I won't name him just in case he doesn't want us to share this, but he was just staring at himself in the mirror. And then I go, "What are you looking at?" And he goes, "Man, look, we're fucking ugly." and I look at the mirror and I go, "Oh, damn."
Meanwhile, like at our like little like, because we're dorky looking people, right? Yeah. Like, I hate to say it, but we're dorky looking people. So like looking in the mirror when you're like,
so hold on though. Here's the thing though, is like the way that I looked in the mirror and saw myself, because of like things are visually distorted. So like in my mind, I was like, "Oh, that's what I truly look like," and I'm seeing that today. But really, like my face was like fucking, Spy Kids. Those like fucking weird looking motherfuckers with the crazy
thumbs.
Yeah, yeah, like those distorted guys. You know?
The thumbs, like the thumb dudes.
I think there's more than just thumbs. I think they're like, oh yeah, maybe they are thumbs. I can't remember, but they're just weird looking, funky faces. Like that's kind of like the direction in which our faces were distorting. But yeah, it was funny because I walk in and he's just standing there stone cold. And then but later, moments later, there's like 4 of us just staring in the mirror, all going, damn, we're fucking ugly. And I remember at one point it was like, yeah, these fucking things. At one point I was like, yo, we're fucking ugly. And like in almost like a celebratory way, we were like hugging each other because like we came to the realization that we were not hot. And I thought that was really funny.
It was a beautiful moment. All right, well, that was awesome. Thanks for the fast forward there, Lee, and the rewind. Let's get right into the snips.
So apparently Elon's not actually joining the Twitter board. So they announced that he was joining the Twitter board, and then they announced that he's not joining the Twitter board. Since then, the prices went up and then back down again. And also, Tesla stock also started to fall. And there was some speculation that maybe it was because Elon joining Twitter had caused concern for how much is on Elon's plate.
Is Elon, or no, Elon is absolutely crazy for this. Is Elon lying?
I don't know. Here's the thing. He joined and said that he was going to be on the board and the stock price went up like crazy. Mm-hmm. And then he's not on the board.
But I think also he's in some trouble right now because he never disclosed his ownership of his Twitter stock. Like he did it way too late or something.
Well, I thought that was all like kind of like legally done the way it was supposed to do. Where did you read that?
I think I read it somewhere online.
I read it as well.
Yeah, it was like at this point, the SEC is just like, he keeps dodging these cases like nothing,
So here's what was in the tweet. I believe it says, we believe this is best. This is for the best. We have and will always value input from our shareholders, whether they are on the board or not. Elon is our biggest shareholder, and we will remain open to his input. So I think what they're saying is he's going.
The shareholders didn't want it.
No. I think no. What they're saying is, in general, they're open to the input from shareholders, saying basically Elon, his voice will be heard regardless of if he's formally on the board or not. So I think all Elon's doing is he's kind of circumventing all of the obligations that come with a board seat. So now he's able to be just as influential, but not be like formally on the board.
Yeah.
So I think and he won't have a board vote either.
Oh,
right.
Okay. So they're just going to take his Twitter polls.
And here's the thing. I think he probably could just choose to, if he wanted, I think this is up to him. I don't think this is Twitter saying, hey, we don't want you on the board. I do know Kathy Wood, who's like a huge investor, influencer. She owns ARK Invest or leads ARK Invest.
Yeah.
She said that she started just like selling Twitter stock once. What's his name?
Elon
Dorsey.
Oh, Dorsey left.
When he left, yeah, and doesn't believe in the management there. So
I can see that. That's interesting.
I think they've got other issues, and I think adding Elon was just like too much of a wild card.
Yeah.
So they kept him off the board.
Speaking of Elon, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, as you know, and they posted, or one of their journalists on this posted this quote: Musk's appointment to Twitter board shows that we need regulation of social media platforms to prevent rich people from controlling our channels of communication. So, of course, now, realistically speaking, the Washington Post is independent and, they're completely away from Jeff Bezos, but there is a lot of irony coming from this quote specifically, especially the rich people from controlling our channel of communication, when the second richest person on earth, Jeff Bezos, is the one that owns the Washington Post. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, there's definitely some the Washington Post specifically. I think they almost have to acknowledge Jeff Bezos while they say this, in the same breath.
Yeah,
because they're talking about Twitter, and really they, if Twitter is able to do it, if Washington Post can do it, why can't Twitter do it? You know what I mean?
For sure.
That seems a bit ironic and hypocritical.
Mm-hmm. It's also it's funny too, because obviously capitalism is it definitely is not sheltered from critique at all, but it's kind of the issue. We need our regulators to be dealing with this. It's kind of, it's weird when we point the fingers at the billionaires rather than the people who are enabling these billionaires to do this.
Yeah. Shit was for sale. They just bought it,
Yeah. Our system allows us to do this. So it is very interesting. Speaking of interesting, and speaking as well as Uber and other delivery things, DoorDash has a new service called Dash Pass for students. It's a $5.99 month subscription. I feel like this would be a really good ad spot, FYI, if they pay for us. It's a $5 a month.
$4.99 or $5.
Yeah, $4.99 month subscription, offering free delivery on certain orders, 5% credit back on select pickups, and member only deals. So it's kind of like a way to help them monetize more often.
Yeah, I think a lot of these platforms are moving towards having some kind of membership system. I think Uber Eats has one too.
Skip the dishes.
So they kind of want to increase stickiness, probably because, here's how I use them. I just literally swap between the apps and look for promotions. I'll open Uber Eats and I'll open Skip the Dishes and I'll just see like who has deals. And I don't really have a loyalty to the platform. So I think what they want to start doing is giving you a reason to stay on just their platform. And really, I think if I was in any of their positions, I would just make a really, really strong first 6 months deal. You know what I mean? Like just to get them used to using yours, because it's probably going to be kind of like a land grab at the beginning. Like they're all going to try to grab as much, reoccurring revenue. And then I don't see people switching between, memberships. Like, you know what I mean? Do you think people are going to be switching? Oh, I was on Dash Pass last month. This time I'm going to try, I'm going to try the skip. It's people don't give a fuck, I don't think, about this type of thing.
And also too, the thing that just makes any of this hard is that it's just like DoorDash is so expensive. Like a $5 anything ends up costing you $15-$20. So it's like the irony behind it being like, for students, just, students shouldn't be using this in the first place. Like I understand that they are using it because they're busy, but
some of the bigger restaurants, like now when you order on any of these platforms like Uber Eats, you go in and they say, hey, did you know we have our own app? Like, you should order through our own app, right? Because they don't want to pay the fees anymore. So if all the bigger restaurants are trying to do their own thing with their own app, with their own loyalty program, what does that do for these kind of companies?
Yeah.
Some businesses are also marking their prices up on the app specifically as well to get what they
offset
want.
The costs.
Yeah.
You know what would be interesting? Like, what is the business opportunity for autonomous delivery? Like, imagine there was a platform that, in your city, all the restaurants could subscribe to. And it was much cheaper because it's not a person driving. And then there's just these like delivery cars that are just driving, and they can actually, like, the car can park and then a little like robot pops out of the back seat and like delivers like a hot bag of food to your door.
Did we talk about this?
We might have talked about it on or off the podcast.
I felt like this is sounding so familiar.
We were talking about, what we were talking about?
What?
The robot dog.
Robot dogs. Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about this. So here's the thing. Like,
comes full circle.
There's clearly a need for delivery, and I think I don't think the answer is everyone having a different app. 20 apps on your phone.
Have you ever used DoorDash or Skip the Dishes?
Yep.
I love the experience.
Is great.
I do love being able to get my stuff delivered to me.
The cost.
The cost is so bad.
The cost to us and the cost to the businesses. So like, where do we drive the cost down? I think we drive the cost down by removing the labor that's in between us and the food. And also, like, no shade to people that drive on these platforms, but
tips.
But tips is part of it, right?
I was like, you're gonna get some seasoning on your food probably.
And here's the thing. I've had multiple times where like, I'm like, what the fuck is this driver doing? Because like my food's ready, but they just keep driving around the restaurant, or like they go off track.
Yeah.
Or they like literally like pass my street, and then I like have to loop around.
Because you know what they do? It's because they get a DoorDash driver, like they get like two people riding at the same time, like in the same car. They both register the same car. One's on DoorDash, one's on Skip, and then they'll like go to two destinations. So one goes to, like, let's say I order McDonald's, you ordered Wendy's. One goes to McDonald's, picks up your order, then they go to Wendy's so they can double dip. That's what they do. And that's why like your DoorDash drivers for some reason going the other way.
Oh my gosh, that makes sense now.
Yeah, and it's like irritating because guess what? They come 20 minutes late.
And your food's cold.
And the issue is that tipping, and like, again, this is going to sound so pretentious, so I'm sorry, TikTok, but it sucks that you have to tip beforehand. So you tip like 20%, whatever it might be, and they're freaking giving you some cold food.
Tipping beforehand is one of the most broken ideas I've ever heard in my life.
Oh my God.
Who came up with that?
Because I think it's like they want to incentivize, oh, this person tipped me 20%, so I'm going to go out of my way to help this person. And I've had some really good DoorDash drivers, but what ends up happening is that 20% is just the normal now. I just tip 20%. Now that's what they're used to.
And also, they're not really earning the service. Like you tip someone 20%, they could also shit the bed.
On Uber,
Can you get your tip back? Can you cancel your tip and be like, hey, I actually don't want to tip them anymore?
on an Uber driver, you can tip, like you tip afterwards, right?
Yeah.
On Uber Eats, you tip beforehand. It's like, wait,
It's
what?
weird. Yeah. It would be, how hilarious would it be if you could take it back?
Oh my God.
You just say, you could tip them like 50%.
I actually
And
saw
then-
a TikTok where someone like they like they screenshotted a picture of a moldy Big Mac so that every time they get a Big Mac and like through DoorDash, they send that moldy Big Mac saying, oh, it's all gross. And they get a free Big Mac every time.
That's so funny. Funny enough, actually, I got an Uber Eats meal refunded once because there was clear evidence that the guy that was dropping off the food ate some of it. Like clear evidence.
What was so clear about it?
So the fucking bag was stapled shut.
Yeah.
And then I got 3 bags of food. So one of them was stapled shut. All 3 of them were stapled shut, but one of them was open. The staples were fucking busted. And then you go in there, and then the box that closed in all the fries, the box was opened. And there was a very obvious like crevice that was created from like fries pulled from that side. So I was like, dude ate fries. Like, dude was like driving, put his hand in my bag and just found the fries and just started eating some of the fries. And
Could you
apparently
imagine
this
they
is
took
very
a sli-
common.
Yeah. Could you imagine they took like a slice of pizza or they're picking the pepperonis off your pizza?
Can you imagine they took a slice of pizza and then tried to like reform the pizza
Like
with,
Chuck E. Cheese style.
with that pizza missing, so you couldn't tell it's missing from the pizza. But apparently this is like a rampant issue. So, so one of our clients is a restaurant owner. He owns his own chain of franchises, and he's got a bunch of restaurants. And he's almost like completely doing meal delivery platforms. So like Uber Eats,
Yeah.
all those things. He says it's like the biggest issue they face right now. It's like
Really?
is that drivers are eating the food. So that's why when you go to McDonald's, they put a sticker on the bag.
Yeah. I know that.
And and people are stapled. It's not because they want to keep the heat in there. They would
Yeah.
just roll it up. It's
Well,
there. It's there
yeah.
because they want to know if it's tamper proofing.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah. And if they're autonomous, they're not fucking eating your food. They're getting there super cheap. You don't have to tip them nothing because they're fucking up. Can you imagine if you start tipping autonomous robots
You
that are
have
delivering?
to. That's what we did with the bartender on the cruise ship.
Yeah,
Remember
the
there
bartender
was
on
a
the
tip
cruise-
option for
Yeah.
the robotic.
That's
robot.
absurd.
You're basically tipping the engineers.
Yeah.
And do you know who is an engineer? Tails.
Tales from Sonic.
Tails from Sonic.
He is a great engineer.
He's a great engineer.
And I actually just watched the new Sonic 2 on Sunday.
Yeah. How was it?
It was
I was a huge Sonic fan back
Me
in
too.
the day.
Me too. It was, and you know what? Hope we don't get sued for this, but we took a lot of inspiration from Sonic in our game, egg game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the rings and and how So I think Sonic was a huge part of all of our childhoods. For me, it was going to the McDonald's play place and accessing that GameCube and playing some Sonic
Adventure 2 Battle.
Dude.
That was a banger of a game.
Unreal. The show, it was pretty good. The movie was pretty good. I enjoyed it. So I guess that's kind of the baseline when it comes to watching movies with my kids. But I would say that it wasn't my favorite. But apparently it had a $71 million box office debut, which is the biggest launch for a film based on a video game. I'm glad that Sonic was redone. The artwork of the original Sonic was pretty fucking ugly.
Yeah. I didn't mind it too much, to be honest.
It was frightening. That Sonic was scary to look at.
I know. But I mean, I felt like what they were trying to do is like they tried to like blend in, because you can't make a blue hedgehog that wears red sneakers look realistic. Like no matter what
They were trying to
do.
make it look more like in our world.
But like it's almost like there's a scale where you make them like one scale is cartoony and not realistic, and then the other being super realistic.
Like literally like a hedgehog.
Yeah, like I think they were like, all right, let's put it at 40% and see where it's at. 40% human, 60% cartoon, and that's what came out of it. Now it's like 80% cartoon.
Yes.
Right?
It has like a little bit of like lifeness to it, but it's very cartoony.
Yeah,
And I like how
and that's how it should be.
yeah, it looks good. So in the show, or in the movie, Sonic 2, Knuckles is very serious. Like he's
Yeah.
like very, very intense. And Tails is adorable. I think Tails is played by a girl though, her voice.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. It's funny how many like male cartoon characters are played by female.
Bart Simpson.
They do that so that you guys know why, right? So the guys, when they grow up, like as child actor voices,
Oh, their voices don't change.
So the female voice can
Nice.
keep their voice the same. For,
Whoa.
I mean,
I was always wondering why. That actually makes total sense.
Like Bart Simpson, he's played by a woman.
So is Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, wow, no way.
they were looking for longevity, and good thing they did, because the Simpsons are on like season like 38 or 42 or something like that, right? So
That's awesome. So it's cool that because like with a 71 million box office debut, Sonic the Hedgehog is obviously a huge name in video games. It's one of the biggest names in video games, period. So it's really interesting to see that a video game movie is doing really well, because that's something that never was doing well.
What is your favorite video game movie of all time?
I don't even think I have one.
Maybe we should Google this. Top video game movies.
I'm trying to think of a movie.
I like Prince of Persia. I mentioned that the other
Yeah,
day.
you did.
Prince of Persia is great.
I like Wreck-It Ralph too, where they will go to the internet but like that's not a video game movie. It's just like cameos of video game characters.
Was Wreck-It Ralph a game?
No, it wasn't.
It was never a game.
That
So it's a
was
made up game?
Yeah.
Okay.
it was like, you've seen the movies?
I've seen both, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like Donkey Kong, but like they just kind of made it fictional.
Oh, true. They kind of played on it. So yeah, I'm looking at like movies that are based on video games. I guess Pokemon movies are based on video games.
I never
yeah.
seen that one. The one with Ryan
Detective
Reynolds.
Pikachu.
Yeah, that would be based on a video game.
And this one beat it, eh? That's actually surprising, considering you think there'd be a bigger like.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, because Pokemon is such a huge audience.
Yeah.
I wonder if they included Pokemon in that, like, video game based movies thing.
Yeah,
I'll have to double check and see here.
but that's pretty crazy with Sonic the Hedgehog. That's awesome.
Detective Pikachu box office. Let's see.
Probably did pretty well. It was Ryan Reynolds.
I feel like
and it's
so.
Pokemon.
So it did $433 million USD. You know what? This is totally off topic, but you know what I've heard is apparently coming too?
What?
Apparently Avatar 2 is coming pretty
They've
soon.
been saying that for like 6 years though.
I know they've been saying that, but a Disney leak has confirmed that. This is not fake news either. A Disney leak has. it felt
Every time we say Disney leaked, I'm just like.
A Disney leak confirmed that they're actually going to be playing the Avatar 2 trailer before Doctor Strange, the metaverse one. I forget what it's called.
Meta. Did you just say the metaverse one?
Oh shit, multiverse. Fuck.
You just see a bunch of like apes and crypto punks.
So Doctor Strange in the multiverse of madness. Apparently, what the trailer is going to be Avatar 2, and apparently the director,
James Cameron,
has been filming all three of them.
Yeah,
I heard
in
that.
tandem, because the kids that are the children of the two main characters, they're growing, and the movie's taken so long to film. They actually had to film 2 and 3 as well.
But you know
how long it's taken.
You know what's hilarious? It's like, dude, James Cameron is literally the GOAT when it comes to CGI. Man's literally like came out with Avatar, and you're telling me this guy can't friggin' get 2 kids in there? Like, man's could get like these blue aliens to kind of go in and just freaking blow up everything, and like the most.
I just think he wants the kids to look as real as possible, so that's why. So
he's in a blue alien.
So
world.
he's literally filmed pretty much all of number 3 and even parts of 4, which to me is absurd.
Dude, this guy.
He's a weird. The way he works is weird.
Yeah, this guy does not understand the concept of scope creep.
Yeah. But you know what's funny?
I can just picture there's a project manager on like Disney sides being like, it looks great, but can we maybe get an Avatar 6 to come out before, you know?
Yeah. Can you start working on Avatar 5 and 6 as well? Or even just him. Like, I think he must be just a bad client to deal with. Like, can you just imagine like the executives are like, so James, we've heard like rumors that you're filming number 3.
We're on 6.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're already on 6. And they're like, do you think we could just get like a glimpse at number 2? Like, it's been 10 years.
It's not done yet. Actually, we haven't even shot it. We started shooting 4 and 5 first. It just makes sense for the storyline. And then we're doing 4. Then we're doing 3.
And then we're going to redo 2. Yeah.
And then we gotta redo 1 before we do 2.
Yeah. I don't like how kids, like how bad the CGI is in 1 compared to the rest. So we actually have to do an Avatar 1 remake before we start 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
He's Canadian, eh?
Yeah, he's Canadian. One of the Canadian greats.
Made Titanic.
Before we jump into the meme, what would be the one?
You had another story, didn't you?
Oh,
you
true.
said like a surprise story.
So here's a quick story. The streaming service formerly known as IMDb TV is rebranding as Amazon Freevee.
Oh, jeez.
Freevee, as in like free TV.
Yeah.
So previously there was this free subscription service you could get, and it was ad supported. IMDb
Yeah,
TV.
we talked about it in the previous one. Check that out. Episode
I did
number
look it
7.
up. And I did look it up, and it's only in the States. It's not in Canada. The free
TV.
Yeah.
So this might also be an American release. I don't know if Amazon Freevee is coming to Canada as well. But even being they're doing a massive content push, and they're going to rebrand it under this Amazon Freevee. Take a look at the logo, guys, if you want to Google it.
Cool.
And basically try to pursue creating another big. And the thing is, they already have Amazon Prime, so they're just trying to create like a free version to kind of pair with that. But I thought this was ridiculous because are we just going back to just regular TV? Because
We've been going back to regular TV.
Disney's preparing a cheaper ad-supported version. HBO Max already has a cheaper ad-supported version.
Netflix.
Recently at a conference, Netflix CFO has said, never say never, in talking about an ad-supported tier as well. So all the platforms are going to be having ads on them. So I thought this whole movement was built on ad-free television, on demand.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have to watch ads.
Yeah, we're coming back to it for sure.
We're basically going right back to cable, because the two things about cable that we were getting away from was no more ads, and then no more like tons of different options, like one place.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's like how many subscriptions do you have for TV right now?
We just bum it off of everybody.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, we found it.
You're winning. People are bumming off of me. So I have Disney Plus, Netflix.
Oh, we pay for Disney Plus.
Nice.
Oh, and Crave.
Okay, great.
Oh,
Okay.
we bum Netflix. We bum Prime TV off of Tomorrow Media.
Oh shit, we have Prime.
Dude, are you serious?
Well, me and Kayla have Prime, so I've been using that. Why do me and Kayla have Prime?
Dude, you are bankrupt, man. You are broke now.
You get Prime with your shopping.
Yeah, like we have, but the thing is, Tomorrow Inc. has shopping anyway, and I know that's what you guys use the work one for shopping too.
The issue is that what ends up happening is because on Prime it comes up as Kong Nguyen, so you have to deal with that. That's the first shortcoming. Second, if you end up clicking stars or something and start a free trial in there, you'll definitely hear about it when you come to work.
Oh yeah, I think that happened once to you, right?
Yeah,
where you got a free trial on the thing.
Yeah, and then there's like, what's going on with all these free trials? I was like, Sid.
so you're doing pretty good. I got Netflix. I got the big tier because my brother and sister, my mom use our Netflix. Then I have Disney Plus, and Kayla's family uses our Disney Plus. And then I have Apple TV because I'm on Apple One. So I
have Apple TV as well. Yeah.
Apple One's a good price, so I got Apple One. And then I have.
Are you a fan of Apple?
Yep. And then I also recently got Discovery Plus for Kayla because she wants to watch the Magnolia Network. So
what's the Magnolia Network?
It's like with Chip and Joanna Gaines, and like it's like Fixer Upper and cooking
Sid
shows.
has that too.
Oh yeah, she got it too. Nice.
Pretty sure.
Yeah. So and it's like just to watch a couple shows, you have to get it.
Well, I was just going to say free V. You can't spell anything with V and 2 E's now and not think of Gary V.
I know. I thought the
Gary's
same
going to
thing.
be running this content, isn't he?
Literally, like,
can you imagine Gary
3 to
V?
4 contests a day.
Gary V does an exclusive partnership and moves all of his content to Amazon Freevee.
Dang.
Jeez,
that'd be epic.
Mastermind.
All right,
Meme time.
Meme time.
What do we got?
This was what I first.
That's funny.
This is what I first thought when I thought of Uber with the trains and the planes and the boats and whatnot now. But it says, I think my Uber driver is in trouble. And then it shows an Uber driver car map, and it's in the middle of a large body of water. And the driver is Dinesh. And the person waiting for the ride says, "You good?" And Dinesh responds, "Hi, on way. Am lost." And the person goes, "How did this happen, Dinesh?" As he's just in the middle of the water. So this is what I was picturing, though, that like you could get boat rides pulling up to the shore through the new Uber expansion with their services, but that's quite not what's happening.
Yeah,
How did that happen, Dinesh?
How did this happen, Dinesh?
Another great meme storm. Another great meme.
Thanks, guys.
Very well executed. Like just overall. Did you find like Uber memes, or did you specifically find this?
No, I Uber memes, and then I just like looked through enough that I'm like, okay, this relates to our topic. Yeah.
Wow. Well done.
That's an epic meme.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening to episode 10. We're finally in double digits. We really appreciate that. We see lots of downloads happening. If you're downloading the podcast and you're not talking to us about it, shoot us a DM, maybe comment on a video, send us a review on the podcast. We'd love to hear from you, get your feedback on how we can continue to improve the podcast. But yeah, don't forget to follow us on social media, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. We're doing short form content pretty much every day. And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody.